are some tips for tying tzitzit onto a Tallit katan. This is a Tallit katan made by the wonderful folks of the Tzitzit Project, which I highly recommend. It is made of synthetic material, comes in this beautiful bag, and it is made of this very lightweight mesh, which is very breathable and stretchy. They come in many sizes and custom sizes. I highly recommend. So I'm going to be tying tzitzit onto this garment and give you some pointers. It is a little bit fiddly. It helps a little bit if you have some experience with fabric arts, but it's not necessary. You take a corner like this. Often the hole is round. In this case, it's actually an eyelet like you would have for a button. That's fine too. It actually makes it a little bit easier. You can use a crochet hook in order to draw the strings through, but it's probably not necessary with this. So you take this and you measure out your tzitzit. These are normal standard commercially derived tzitzit that you can buy online or in any Judaica store. The tzitzit come in a cluster of 16, 12 shorter strings and 4 longer strings. You divide them up into 4 bundles, 3 short strings and 1 long string per set. The long string is the shamash, and you measure out the long string, and this is my super cool tip. Do not align the long string exactly with the beginning of the short string, like so. If you do that, you will end up with too much length at the end of the string. What you want to do instead is kind of place it halfway. So this is the beginning of the string, and then it corresponds to the rest of the string, and towards the end, the shamash, the helper that you wind round, sticks out a little extra too. And that way you can get consistency in the length of all your strings. So now you're going to pull them through one of your tzitzit corners. There you go. What's very important is sacred intention when you're tying tzitzit. It is a sacred act after all. So you have to say a kavanah, a sacred intention, which is very easy. You align them like this so that both sides of your tzitzit are doubled up and of equal length, like so. It doesn't have to be super exact, but close enough. So as you can see, here we are. Then I say, L'shem mitzvat tzitzit, for the sake of tying tzitzit, and I make my first double knot. I make sure that the knot is not so tight that it bunches up the corner. So I keep a little bit of a gap right here. And I do a second knot, a double knot, and that secures it. And make sure that there's a bit of leeway, a bit of give. As you can see, this makes a very attractive corner. I tighten it, and that is my first step. It helps if you can secure the garment, wrap it around the post of a chair or a table, or weigh it down with something as you continue tying. Now you find your shamash. Find the longest one of the 2 shamashim. These are the doubled up regular threads, as you can see. And then out of your 2 shamashim that extend beyond that, this one ends and this one continues. This is the one you will want to wind with, because as you wind, it will get shorter and shorter. So for Ashkenazim, like myself, the windings I adhere to are double knot 7, double knot 8, double knot 11, double knot 13. What also helps is to do actually a half winding extra, because this wool is very springy. It's elastic, and as soon as you start tying it, it will jump back a little bit. And then you lose the kashrut, the appropriateness of the windings. So over the years, I have learned to do 7.5 windings, tie, then it relaxes a little and you end up with the 7 windings as intended. And that applies to the other windings as well. As you can see, I have secured my garment under something heavy so that I can pull on it a little bit, like so. Now I'm going to get my longest shamash, my longest thread, which is this one. I already said L'Shem Mitzvah Tzitzit, for the sake of the mitzvah of Tzitzit. And now I'm going to start my windings. So here are my doubled threads, which makes 8 in total with the shamash. So I'm going to count as such. 1. In the beginning it's a little tricky. Gets easier with time. 2. So that's 1. I do not count this part. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. And 7. And based on what I said before, I'm going to do an extra half little loop, like so. That's just experience. So as you can see, it has 7 windings. Now I'm going to part them again, get 3 strands on one end, the other 4 on the other, and now I'm going to tie a double knot. And that will complete the first winding of my tzitzit. I'm going to again go to the longest strand, which is this one, and now I'm going to do 8 windings. So friends, here is the first completed fringe. Snug on the corner. 7, 8, 11, and 13 windings. And this is the next step of the fringe. And as you can see, it's pretty even. It's not perfect, but pretty even. You are allowed to trim your tzitzit with 2 provisos. 1, you should not use a metal implement. Just like we would never use metal on the altar during temple times, metal, especially iron, is the symbol, or steel, is the symbol of violence. You are allowed to cut this with a ceramic or plastic knife. It's not very hard. Any kind of plastic knife will do. A little knife that you use as a disposable knife will do just fine. The other proviso is that this has to be of sufficient length, at least twice the length of the knotted part, which this adheres to. As you can see, this is twice the length of the knotted part. Once, you double it up again to check, and twice. So this tzitzit is kosher and complete.